Colombia is planning to invade Peru, but the reason why goes all the way back to 1922, and it's all over this tiny little island, which isn't even a mile long. Now, you probably haven't heard about this. In fact, it's not being talked about at all, but it's over something that could really affect Colombia. Now, this small island is called Santa Rosa, and it's in the middle of the Amazon River, right on the three-way border between Colombia, Peru, and Brazil. But the part you need to know is that this island hasn't always been there. In fact, back in the 1960s, due to the Amazon River moving so much, it formed as a small sandbank in the middle of the river. And ever since the 1960s, it's gotten bigger and bigger. Now, pretty much as soon as the small island appeared, Peru decided that they wanted to be the ones to control it, and not Colombia or Brazil. So pretty much straight away, they colonized the island and built a very small village on it. At the time, it was still a tiny little sandbank. In fact, that village is still there now, and there's a population of about 3,000 people on this island. Now, obviously, back in the 60s when Peru did this, Colombia didn't like it, but ever since then, they've put up with it because the island just wasn't very important and it wasn't worth going to war over. And that was all up until about a month ago. And that's because about a month ago, Peru decided to take this a step further. And after 60 years of just controlling this island, they wanted to officially make it part of Peru. Now, the reason that that is a red line for Colombia and why they won't put up with this island becoming part of Peru is because if it becomes part of Peru, then Peru is entitled to control the water around the island. Obviously, Colombia doesn't want that happening because then Peru would have more control over Colombia. In fact, Colombia does have a fair reason of why they don't want Peru to do this. Leticia, a city with about 60,000 people living there, is right next to this island. And that city is actually a port city, which means that Colombia needs access to the water in order for cargo ships to enter into the city for Colombia to make money with. On top of that, Leticia is really well known for their tourism around the Amazon River. And if Peru makes Santa Rosa part of Peru and they block access to the river, it means that Leticia will lose all of that tourism because they'll no longer be able to do their Amazon River tours. Now, Colombia has said that they're going to try and resolve this issue diplomatically first. It isn't a huge issue, it's only a tiny little island. And they did say that they don't want to have to invade the island and take control of it militarily, which is understandable. And Colombia does have a leg to stand on. To be fair, back in 1922, Peru and Colombia signed a deal saying that Peru could never do something like this. But by the way that Colombia said it, it seems like they are prepared to invade this island and take control of it if they can't come to a decision with Peru. Of course, that could result in the two countries potentially going to war with each other. So Colombia wants to protect the 60,000 people that live in Leticia, and Peru wants to make this island part of Peru. Both sides have a reason for it. Of course, though, that's where they're disagreeing. Bit of a different video, to be fair, more of a history-style deep dive. I did a lot more research into this video to find out what was happening with it. So if you want to see more of that, let me know. But of course, as usual, you can leave me a follow for some more global news like this.